Since the Indian Air Force was pressed into anti-Maoist operations in December 2010, its pilots have flown over 4,600 sorties, clocking 3,400 flying hours in some of the most dangerous parts of the country. In just the last 6 months, there have been 12 occasions when the helicopters have come under fire from Maoists. Now called upon to expand their operations, the Air Force is actually putting its foot down.
And with good reason. In a strongly worded presentation to the Home Ministry and the governments of 8 states where it operates against the Naxals, the Air Force demanded that its pilots not be used as cannon fodder because an indifferent government's refusal to beef up security on ground means that our brave pilots are practically sitting ducks. This is a Headlines Today exclusive.
It's the war against Maoist terror. Fought from the ground and fought from the air. But have our brave pilots been needlessly exposed by the apathy of officials at the state and centre? That's the shocking assessment of the Air Force brass. Pilots' lives put at risk by shoddy and lethargic management on the ground. Men who evacuate comrades from the ground, deliver aid and go where security forces fear to tread, facing deadly fire, left sitting ducks. Headlines Today has exclusive access to details of a presentation made by the Indian Air Force to the Home Ministry. Asked by the Home Ministry to increase the scope of its 2-year-old anti-Naxal operation, the Air Force has raised shocking red flags. They've pointed out the lack of fuel, poor ground support, and failure of local security forces to sanitize landing zones. It's a clear and present danger, putting pilots' lives needlessly and unacceptably at risk.
The state government, whether it is through the MHA or the forces on ground, need to sanitize these areas before Indian Air Force undertakes operations there. Otherwise, that helicopter can be shut up. As was done, I remember when I was the chief, we lost a flight engineer in the aircraft, which came under intense fire while landing. And it was a tremendously fantastic job carried out by the crew on board that saved the helicopter and the other lives on board.
Now, a lot of people believe helicopter is a machine that can land anywhere and take off from anywhere. Yes, true to some extent, but it still requires a lot of infrastructure. And if the bullets are flying and we are in an environment which is war-like, then I'm afraid there is much more precautions required. So therefore, somebody needs to sanitize the operating base, somebody needs to sanitize the landing areas. This is standard procedure followed by all air forces in the world. It is not something which is typical to the Indian Air Force.
And the stakes are high. The Indian Air Force, which currently operates 6 Mi-17 helicopters across 5 states, including Chhattisgarh and Maharashtra, was recently asked to expand operations in Bihar, West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh. As an instrument of the government, the Air Force can only do so much. That means its pilots and crew who operate along India's most dangerous corridor are in the line of fire only because other agencies won't do their job. The Air Force's official position is that this presentation it's made to the Home Ministry is not a complaint, it is not meant to raise undue alarm, but if it is called upon by the government to expand operations against the Naxals, then the very least, the minimum that it requires and expects from the government and administration in the states is that its pilots and crew are not treated like cannon fodder. With Pratibha Raman in Bangalore and Durga Nandini in Delhi, Shiv Arur for Headlines Today.